Jeez. Let's see. 1, 2. Check. Wing Chun talk. Check. 1, 2.
Wing Chun.
Oh, there we go. Hey, I think everything's a go here. I'm gonna turn down a little bit. That was a little hot. Give me a check there.
Check 1. Check.
There we go.
All right.
How you doing, everybody? This is Wing Chun Talk. I'm your host, Sifu Z.
I'm Johan.
And this is episode 12, season 1. My goodness.
Cool.
Yeah. And we just can't stop being excited about, you guessed it.
Right. You're going to see him up here around Denver, and a couple of them are on their way to Sweden now.
There it is, SifuZ.com. Kung Fu Power. Send me $5. I'll send, and your address, I'll send you one postpaid. Might even send you 2. Yeah, 2 for the price I want.
Yeah.
How you doing, man?
I'm doing good. You?
All right. How was the work ethic? How was game A?
Oh, it was good. It was a good game A day. Did some work for an old friend of mine and did his windows and kind of a little yard touch up and jacuzzi. So pretty good stuff, listen to my music and
Well, you had your headphones on?
No, just the phone speaker. I'm going to start bringing my speaker now that we're not using anymore.
Yeah, man. Shit.
So it's a good game A day, yeah. And then a nice scooter ride there and back. On top of that, beautiful weather today.
That's what makes it all wonderful.
Yeah. Yeah.
Being able to scooter there.
No, it's great.
Yeah. If you guys were looking hard enough in either direction, you would notice here. I'm going to adjust this as always. This sort of become a sort of a custom where I adjust the screen. That's a little too cutting off your head a little bit there. But yeah, on my side, you can almost see the bars of the scooter. And then there's a scooter over there too. And they're both kick scooters. So, we've been getting into the kick scooter mania.
Yeah, you've been getting into the tricks already. I'm pretty impressed with your development there.
Which also means I've been getting into the injury and
yeah,
endeavoring into the realms of injury. But my pads came today, but just a little, just shy of my getting injured.
Yeah,
well, not injured. It was just a boo-boo. That's all. Right. I mean, everything's still working.
You got knee pads and elbow
pads, knee pads, elbow pads, and palm wrist pads.
Ooh.
Now
that's a big one.
Yeah,
I noticed already.
Yeah, it's nice to have something to support your wrists, because that's usually the first thing that gets injured is you hurt your wrist trying to break your fall. Yeah.
Right.
Of course, the problem with all that stuff is it's just,
the training we do.
Well, no, you just want to get on the thing and ride. You don't want to sit down and take 15 minutes extra just to put the things on, you know. So you gotta put them on, and then they are itchy and uncomfortable.
Yeah.
So,
especially now in the heat.
But the thing is you wear those things until you can really land your tricks and stuff without hesitation. Hesitation is what gets you every time.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then you could at least take the elbow pads off, maybe even the knee pads, depending on what kind of stuff you're doing. Helmets should probably always be on, even though we don't wear those either. But then again, we're just following fashion now, aren't we? Because all the pictures I see of guys in the skate parks and whatnot, nobody's wearing no helmets.
Yeah, and it is uncomfortable to have a helmet on. But I don't know. I haven't never had a helmet on that's comfortable and light.
Yeah.
You always feel you have something there.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure if you put the money out, you could probably find very comfortable knee pads and helmets, right? Because helmets could go into $300 mark alone.
Right.
So I'm guessing elbow pads and knee pads could probably come in and around that cost.
Yeah.
If you were going to spend that much instead of 30. You know, whenever there's a $30 item, you know there's a $300 item, and that's probably the one you should get. But
yeah,
but the other one works. It's just uncomfortable, man. It just
right.
But you know, I think it's definitely a good thing to wear those and suffer through it, and that'll make you get your tricks and whatnot down, so you know, can do them without the pads on safely.
Right.
Yeah. Oh man, it trips me out when I see those guys do backflips and they're not wearing helmets or nothing.
God, yeah, they do incredible stuff. Wow.
No, I get it though. If you've done it enough times, if you've done it 10,000 times.
Yeah. Yeah, you have a background in skateboarding, so I never really done tricks and anything, just use it for riding, a little up and down, and you know, I might try to learn some easier stuff.
Well, you know, it's just gratifying being able to jump over stuff, like jump over a pothole or jump up onto a curb or jump off of a little ledge. You know, that's immensely gratifying.
It is, because you have more of an even flow when you're riding. Riding instead of stopping and lifting it over, right? Kind of jumping a little curve and just keep going, you know, keep your momentum going. Yeah, it's gratifying.
And you know, you certainly can get the speeds up enough. You know, with a kick scooter, you know, going a little downhill.
Oh yeah.
On that on the trick scooter that we got, going downhill with that was a little squirrely.
Right.
Yeah, that was a little scary.
In the ramp out back here.
Yeah.
Wobbly.
Yeah. Well, you know, there's just a lot of little things, creases in the ramp, you know, the concrete. And so with the hard wheels, as you're hitting those going really fast, it's just so easy to just kind of get thrown off. The big wheels, man, going down that ramp with the big wheels is just a blast, you know, real nice and comfortable. You know, it verges on being kind of a little scary, you know, going down. but with the trick scooter, forget about it.
Yeah, you want a flat, smooth surface for that.
Yeah,
sort of skate park.
Right. Yeah. So if you're bombing down a ramp or something, it's gonna be nice and smooth. Yeah. And the wider bars help too to keep things more stable.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah.
Nice control. I like those bars. They're fun.
Yeah. So now now we just have to be patient. Don't get carried away. Do you hear me, Johan?
There's seafood here you guys need to worry about. I'm a careful, sweet guy. And plus, training is going so well now. A broken wrist or something.
Oh, no. Yeah. Well, that's precisely why I invested in the elbow protection, knee protection, stuff like that, because I know myself.
Yeah, I'm glad you. Yeah,
I know myself. I can't have those kind of toys without, you know, trying to see if I can do all the stuff that they do on TV.
Right.
Oh, well, I guess that's called YouTube now.
Yeah. The screen, right? Yeah.
YouTube is just television. It's just the next iteration TV. It's a little bit
so
more
much better.
Oh, way better. Well, depending.
Well, yeah, you can find a lot of crap on there too, but you can, and then no commercials. I mean, you can skip that. And
In the 80s, late at night, television and radio were really cool. The folks that they didn't want the rest of the world to hear, they would let those folks on like after midnight, both on television, public access usually, but even some of the other channels would get a little wild. Still to this day, like Cartoon Network runs Adult Swim. I don't know if you've ever seen that. And that's usually one of those late nighter things. They got another one too called Off the Air. Comedy Central does Off the Air. It's really cool, very like psychedelic.
Oh, nice.
Kind of wild out there stuff. I'm tempted to submit my kind of stuff to it. That's how, that's how.
Oh, I gotta look into it.
How freaky it is. Some of it's really cool. Now, today, I'm going to get into it a little bit here. Get into it early.
Okay.
And see how far we can take this. The topic is mistaking emotion for civility.
Boom! I've never heard you
there
say
you go.
that.
Go ahead and talk amongst yourself now.
There it is.
But yeah, I'll say it again. Mistaking emotion for civility, for being civilized. Right? When I think of civilization, I think of like humanity. A place that is conducive to humanity. Bring the mic over here. There we go. Yeah.
Like it's a civil place. Like it's
a civilized. Civilized is to me implies humane, a humane place, right? And it occurs to me, I guess the best way to say this, it occurs to me that people's emotions, I think, often are mistaken for defining who they are as a human. Right? And we're learning more and more through cognitive science and cognitive psychology and neuroscience that to a great degree we want to ignore our emotions, which is opposite of what we've been told by a lot of various camps. Certainly the new agey type camp would tell you to follow your emotions. Another way of saying that, I guess, would be to follow your heart. And in certain things, I suppose it's a smart thing to do. It's a good thing to do. It certainly feels good to follow your heart sometimes, I suppose, right? It has a potential of feeling good, at least initially,
Right. You're thinking that it feels good to like help others?
Well, the idea is that if we could balance our emotions, that we could truly attain a really true level of civility, just like attaining a true level of humanity. We like to think of ourselves as human. We like to think of ourselves as civil. But when we look at the world around us, we still have unacceptable numbers of
suffering people suffering.
Of needless suffering.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, there is a lot of suffering that you can't do anything about, right? Some people were born a certain way, but the needless, that's not the word I'm looking for, but we'll have to do the needless suffering. There's still much too much of that, right? No, we can't live in an absolute utopia. Perhaps not, right? And even if we were to accept that, we could still say that given the situation, given the amount of waste and food that's thrown away, given the healthcare system fraud, we really should be able to take care of more of our own. I think we could all kind of agree with that.
Yeah, no one needs to go hungry.
Well, some people are just too crazy to communicate with,
right,
and too out there, right? So you're always going to have that, but that's not most people, is it? Hopefully not, right?
No, not the people I come across on the regular. They're currently homeless.
And if we're to look at the prison stats, they say about 80% of the prison population is in there for, a root cause would be for emotional issues, usually regarding their girlfriends or their wives. 80%.
Wow.
Yeah. I also heard a stat from the Rogan show off of that guy that you were watching. You heard me. You saw me watching the
Weinstein.
No, the cop guy.
Oh yeah, the Baltimore cop.
Yeah,
the young guy.
Yeah. He had mentioned a stat along the lines of like 90% of his arrests were drug related, just personal use drug related stuff, which is of course appalling. Wow. Yeah. But again, all of this stuff really boils down to emotional control, and a lot of drug use boils down to emotional control or lack of emotional control, or desire to alter one's emotions and feelings.
Yeah.
But we really got to get beyond letting our emotion and essentially our lack of emotional control define our actions and our behaviors and our goal to be more human.
Right. Yeah. So don't follow your heart.
In a lot of cases,
right.
In perhaps most cases, instead of like follow your heart, most cases, don't follow your heart in most cases, but there may be some cases where that might apply.
Right.
Yeah. But in most cases, you should probably like let the brain process.
Yeah. At least give the brain a chance.
Some of that information.
Yeah. Yeah. Take a deep breath, maybe at least. And
yeah.
Sometimes it doesn't take long to change your mind, which first feels right. And you're like, all right, I'm going to go with it. And then, wait a minute, right?
And breathe. Yeah, breathe and think about it. Let the brain digest. Perhaps what makes us intelligent is our ability to see things from another person's perspective. Right? So exercising that little behavior
Mm.
right there might do us a world of good.
Oh, huge.
Yeah.
That's something I'm practicing and getting better at, but still room for more improvement. For sure.
That's definitely the payoff of becoming an adult, becoming a man is being comforted by not being offset by your emotions. When you're a younger man or an older boy, shall we say?
Yeah.
There's a lot of that, right? Being offset by your emotions, being motivated by your emotions, right? The things that you do and say without even thinking, sort of guiding your behavior and actions. Yeah. And again, there's probably a time for that. Maybe like when you're snowboarding or something.
You gotta react fast. Yeah.
But typically not when you're dealing with sociological issues. In other words, when you're dealing with another human being, right? The complexity doesn't just double. It's not 1 + 1. When you add another human being, the complexity it exponentiates by the squared, right? Equals MC squared.
Right.
So that makes the whole emotion thing and the civility thing a very complex issue. We're talking to some extent education, but to an even greater extent developing emotional intelligence. I almost feel like I overuse that word over the past few podcasts, but it's that important.
Yes. So I don't think you are.
Yeah, and in martial arts, it's just unavoidable. I mean, I hate to bring this guy's name up. He doesn't need any more advertising, but Conor McGregor, he's a great example of knowing the value of upsetting somebody in order to offset them, and then beat them. You beat them. You're able to beat them not because you're necessarily better, but because you're able to offset them.
And Muhammad Ali was known for that.
Yeah, any great fighter understands that concept, right? I mean, just anybody that throws a fake knows that concept, even if they don't know it intellectually. They've been a sucker to it from their older brother or something, right? They know it in their brain. So when you can, and it's hard not to respond to the fake, that's one of the first things we show, right? How easy it is to just kind of respond to a fake.
Oh yeah.
And we've talked about that before as well. If you want to check out the other lessons, I'll have them down in the description below. The Intro to Wing Chun series, we talk about it, and I think we've even covered the topic.
I think we had an episode.
Yeah,
about the fake. Yeah.
I'll
put it down in the description.
So that's such an important concept, even not just as a fighter, but as just as a psychological understanding,
right?
That we often get pulled out of our root, out of our center, out of our comfort, right? Out of our safety,
relationships, professional relationships,
due to fakes, due to things that you think are going to happen but don't. And sometimes people consciously fake you, and sometimes they unconsciously fake you, but a fake is a fake.
Yeah.
And that's what should be understood. You don't really need to make a distinction between the two.
No.
A fake is a fake. And so you should respond to it either way. Either one you should respond to in the same way, which is stay grounded.
Yes.
Don't anticipate, right? So that's a huge connection between civility, emotion, and the fake.
Yeah.
Because what gets people emotional is when they're pulled emotionally unbalanced. Let's say it that way. Because we can get emotional without being emotionally imbalanced. What creates that emotional imbalance is usually when we have a physical response to an anticipated event.
Right.
This is huge.
It is.
Yeah.
It is amazing stuff.
It's huge in fighting and being able to stay grounded and knowing how to properly respond to a fake. It's huge just in the ring. If you're doing sport, if you're doing self-defense, all of that's huge. It's to me, it's one of the first martial art concepts you should understand.
Yeah.
And get beyond, because it's also one of the hardest things to get beyond. You know, you see guys that are professional fighters still throwing fakes, right? And still responding to fakes and still getting knocked out through fakes, right?
Yeah, it's something that's easy on paper, right? But hard in reality.
Right.
I mean, wow.
And then, of course, how many relationships out there have been ruined by a fake?
Yeah.
Right? When, it's hard not, if you've been alive long enough, you've been through enough relationships, it's hard not to ruminate. In other words, think over and over about how, man, if I just didn't respond, or if they didn't just respond in such a way, if things weren't thrown so out of proportion, or if there was more communication, instead of just sort of emotional responding, right? If we could have been stronger while the other was being emotionally weak, right?
Huge. Yes.
All that stuff. It's so hard not to ruminate over that as you live longer, because again, when you add another human being, it's not 1 + 1. It's one. It's an exponential thing. Yeah, I always say 1 + 1 equals
more
at
than 2.
least greater than 2, at the very least.
Yeah.
And in the case of human beings, almost 9 billion?
Is it now?
1 + 1, 9 billion?
Yeah.
I mean, that's my math. So somewhere around there, give or take 1 billion. So now this is kind of connect a little bit and sort of bring up this other topic. And that is, we've talked about this. And so I wanted to kind of give this topic some more depth. And that is, I was once asked through the years, I've been asked, can I see your form, my particular form, my Wing Chun form, my Seal Tao, my Chum Q, my BG? Could you send me a video, or could you send me a link to your video? And I never have, or at least not knowingly. I think there are times where I've trained and then have maybe revealed my form, but I don't do that on purpose. It's usually because I'm training with you guys, and I'm training along with you. But I would never post one of my forms up and say, this is my form, there's enough forms out there. There's
Yeah.
there's enough. You don't need my form. My form's no different. The tonsil is a tonsil, a bonsal is a bonsal. It's all relative to you, So, and then we went on to talk about how things that I've taught in the past, how students over the years, especially when they come back after being away for a long time, say, well, you didn't do it that way 10 years ago. Right.
Yeah.
So we have that. And I've answered to that, and that is that things change, right? Well, let's talk about the emotion. So now here's the tie-in. Let's talk about the emotion of that. When I have been approached, it was almost as if they were debunking me, like saying, it's not how you did it 10 years ago. And what's up now? What's going on here? Did you forget? Or, always questioning your authority.
Right.
Right. And so keep this in mind, because this, again, it's about emotion, right? Now, there's a thing in science that's going on. And it's huge because, there's millions, if not billions of money that goes into research for various medical and scientific findings, technological findings, etc. There's a lot of money involved. There's a lot of ego involved, of course. There's and there, of course, there shouldn't be, but there is, right?
Yeah.
I don't know if the Templeton group kind of having a big foot in the pool has anything to do with it, but there seems to be some very non-sciencey things going on in contemporary science. And this is where a lot of people can validate their distrust of science, which is kind of silly. Science is just a method of discovering and figuring stuff out. If it wasn't for science, you wouldn't be watching this. You wouldn't have a cell phone. You would nothing. Nothing. There's just nothing would exist for you without technology. And I've always argued that technology, although the industrial age hit us late 1800s, early 1900s, technology has been with us from day one. When a monkey figured out how to use a stick, right? So technology is our feathers. Technology is our scales. Technology is our fur. You understand what I'm saying? Like, without technology, we couldn't exist. Whereas the animals do just fine without that, right? They got their technologies, their feathers, their skin. Right. So I always put it this way.
That is suited. Yeah?
We are the only animals where our exterior didn't evolve, only the interior, our brain and our ability to craft and create things. Think about it. If we didn't have that capacity, we would be dead. We don't have the skin. We don't have the feathers. We don't, right? Okay. So the thing that's happening is science. There are people in science that once they make a discovery or once they, create a technology, there's so much financially and emotionally invested in it that it slows progress down. So when there are new findings, they are suppressed. So this is happening in the medical field. We're seeing now it's happening in technology, of course, with the internet, the infrastructure of the net, right? We're seeing this commitment to an old way of doing something because we invested too much to just throw it away and start all over again.
Right.
Yeah.
Too deep.
Right. So this is connected with the Wing Chun because, again, we have to be willing to throw out whatever it is that we know for something that is obviously and apparently better. So after many years of doing Wing Chun, I was weaker and less coordinated than the other. And I kind of dissected it a bit, and it seemed that we were doing one thing more on one side than the other. And over years, that definitely had an effect. So I was just forced through logic to change it. Now, changing something like that, I am sure there are Wing Chun people out there that would see that, maybe even my own camp, and say, what the hell are you doing? Right?
Like, now, are you talking about, let's say, the opening of Sedum Town?
Sure, doing two instead of one,
yeah.
Right? Yeah. Doing two sets of 3 punches instead of one set, right? So that's all stuff that I did.
Right.
I added that.
Oh, that's beautiful. It makes all the sense. And that's what we deal with.
I had to do it. Not because I just had to do it because I was feeling imbalanced. So I had to do that. Right. So, and I think that's the thing. When the evidence over time presents itself, you've got to be willing to throw out the old evidence, right? Regardless of,
got to be open to change.
Yeah. I mean, the new, especially game B, new paradigm stuff, you've got to be ready to accept the new evidence.
It's scary, especially amongst adults, that, if you used to one way of life and that's where you feel comfortable, it might not be great, but you don't want to change.
Yeah, we're talking about that digging yourself in a hole.
Yeah.
You dig it. Oh, I just dig myself in a hole. It's my hole.
Yeah.
It's my hole. Stay out.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the problem with foxholes is, man, you're just laying in a future grave.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a time to kind of dig in, but eventually you got to jump out of that hole, keep running, man. Talking about I'm doing a simile of World War I, trench warfare.
Yeah. Well.
So
resurface.
So that is why I don't put my form up, because my form is hopefully always evolving.
When you're talking about Wing Chun, being alive, right?
Right. And so your life is also always doing that. And your perspective should, especially these days, man, we all got supercomputers, access to all the information, right? So your brain should be blowing up daily. Every day, your brain should be going, oh, wow, that's not true. Wow, this isn't true. That's not true. This is what's true. This we actually don't know anything about. This we know little about, Bucky Fuller was really good at making comparisons of things,
Okay.
And that's what you have to do, is sort of put things in context. We're right now we're living in such a non-contextual world. Everyone is responding out of context and essentially emotionally, right? And also responding to change. even though the change is good, if we're to believe the data that's presented by Steven Pinker.
Right.
So even though the change is good, and we know this about ourselves, even though the change is good, we resist it. We don't want the change. We don't want to do the new behavior, replace the old inefficient behavior.
Oh.
That's just an obstacle that we have to, deal with. And if we don't deal with that, we suffer.
Yes.
Right? We suffer emotionally.
Mm.
Right? Now, maybe not intellectually, but emotionally we suffer. And when we suffer emotionally, what do? We drink. Right? We do things to erase.
Yeah. Yep.
Right? We try to erase. That's why I don't put weed in the same category. Yeah. Not like alcohol. Alcohol is a major eraser. A barbiturates, another one, you know.
Numb yourself.
Yeah.
From your emotions.
And again, because of, digging in a hole. It's my hole. This is my misery. There's an old punk song. It's my war.
Yeah.
So, I don't know what you're going to do about that. What are you going to do about that, Joe?
Well, me?
Yeah, what do you personally?
I'm going to fix that for everybody. Just come train with me.
We'll just keep working on it. Yeah. Just because we bring up the topic doesn't mean we're immune.
Oh, no.
Right?
No.
I think that
very familiar with all of this, and I've experienced all of what we talked about here.
I think it's important for people to understand that is, if I didn't have this problem, I wouldn't be able to speak about it. Right? If I wasn't a human, I wouldn't be able to talk about these very human issues or even struggling to be more human. If I wasn't struggling to be more human, I wouldn't be able to talk with any sort of authority or a plume regarding this topic. However, and even though I speak with some sort of verbal authority, I'm in the same group as everybody else. As much as I can comprehend the game B, the new paradigm, I'm still here with everyone else in game A, old paradigm. Right. So I think it's worth talking about and intellectualizing, again, bringing this stuff out to from the dinosaur part of the brain out to the smart monkey part of the brain, right?
Right.
And then do something about a lot of the challenges that we have ahead of us and make the necessary changes. It really is upsetting when you say things like universal health care and people try to intellectualize how that's not possible. Right. It's really disheartening when you talk about universal basic income and people tell you how it's just not feasible or possible when it's happening already. It's called welfare. Just change the name and refine it a little bit more, right? The work that needs to be done is little. There are little things, little changes in what we already do. So that's, I think, a positive thing about Wing Chun, Seal Tao, small idea, little idea. You just get these little ideas because, the big stuff, that's what's called gravity matters. There's nothing we can do about gravity. We know so little about gravity, right? We know that gravity, our understanding of gravity is mirrors what we know about it. Or I don't think I said that right, but gravity is weak and so is our understanding of it.
We spend so much time emotionally
trying to deal with these gravity matters, right? But the things that we can do are these small little profound things, right? That's why we both love Wing Chun.
Yes.
And if you train Wing Chun, that's why you love Wing Chun, even if you don't know it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because it's allowing you to do very real, significant, although very little minor things that you would almost think, how could this have any effect? Right. Yeah. So now it starts to sound a little foo-foo, because now, like, okay, how is that different from prayer or religious belief? Right. Yeah. Well, let me say something that if it sounds that familiar, but yet it works, like quantifiably works, then I'm not making it. That must be very profound.
Right.
Because religious belief and prayer and all that has been around for a long time, very powerful.
Yeah.
So if this mimics that in some way, I'm not concerned, as long as there's proof, as long as we can quantify the claims
back to
that we make.
Principles.
Yeah. And there are also scientific first principles that are constantly referred back to make sure that things are real.
Right.
Yeah.
Truth.
Yeah. Well, truth is a pretty subjective. Truth is not the same as accuracy necessarily. Like, we like to say things are true, right? In measurement sake, right? But the problem with measurement is it's just a guide. It's just a guide. It's just an agreed upon increment of measure, right? Boy, we get lost in that one.
Yeah, that's why I stopped when I try to explain Wing Chun to someone, and I'm not there yet. What we're talking about, I need to be better at it. But I know what it did for me and what it's doing. And,
well,
it's difficult without sounding too foo-foo.
Yeah.
It's so easy to get where we go now.
Yeah.
It just sounds vague.
Well, we get on both ends. Like, how is Wing Chun as a practice any more profound than tiddlywinks or knitting? Or how is it any more different than like a religious belief, right? I mean, we get it on both sides, and there's a balance. It's all about balance. Right? We know that it's all about balance for the human. We know this. We only live in a very thin atmosphere that we're balanced within. We go too high, go too low, right? We've already kind of went into great depth about this, I think, on multiple occasions, right? So it's totally about balance. And now so is our emotions. Our emotions are really about physical balance. Right? Again, we physically get pulled out of our ground. We go for the fake, and then that pulls us out of our emotional balance. Right? Don't you immediately curse when that happens?
It's so connected. Yeah.
You're dang.
There's some cursing going on.
Yeah.
You've seen me too.
So I wanted to share. Now this is all kind of segueing these topics, but this is the third topic. And again, they're all sort of interrelated, but can be dissected and understood separately. And that is the number 8. And now, of course, I'm not into numerology, but I kind of, I have fun with it.
Right.
You get like a number like 17, and 7 and 1 is 8.
My whole life.
Right.
And I never studied numerology.
It makes no sense.
No.
But you think you're being clever because 9 and 9 is 18, and 8 and 1 is 9, and oh my God, there's 9 again, right? And then the magic 9. And, you know, numbers do a lot of, you know, numbers create patterns. And so if you're ignorant to that stuff, when you do numerology, there's just no connection to mathematics and numerology. Okay. But I enjoyed myself some numerology, you know. So the first thing I think of when I think of 8, I think of a sideways 8. I think of the infinite, right? And then I in grappling, I came up with this thing called the infinite. Oh shoot, I gotta look it up now. But it's the just like a 4D flow.
Okay.
Infinite 4D flow. That's what it was called. Yeah. Which is sort of essentially grappling, where you have your coordination down well enough that as you're doing one thing up in one quadrant or one hemisphere or whatever, you're working multiple quadrants. Actually, like I'm attacking your leg, but I'm also attacking your head.
Right.
You know, and doing these very unorthodox moves that are more like fourth dimensional things, like how do you know that my foot is over there and you can attack my foot, kind of a thing, you know. Anyway, the number 8, infinite. That was my first sort of numerological approach to 8. Well, now there's this other thing which I've introduced into our training, which is not circular breathing, but breathing with the count of 8. Breathing in for count of 8, breathing out through a count of 8, and then you could also hold your breath for 8, and then in 8, out 8. There's different ways of going about that. And this wasn't my design. This was something, again, from our good buddy Joe Rogan and Laird Hamilton, the famous surfer. He's into breathing exercises, and they were talking
Wim Hof.
They were talking about Wim Hof as well. And so there's a lot of research and a lot of thought that goes into breathing exercises. Admittedly, I was never really big into it, but recently I think it's important, to really
like there's
exercise your breath
around it.
Controlling your breath, I've always understood and been into that, but controlling the breath, especially when you're being squashed, grappling or something, right? Not letting all your air out and shallow breathing, stuff like that. But I've never been into breathing exercises. And so now, just recently for 2020, Wing Chun, we've been introducing those breathing exercises. Just the basic one, breathing in 8, breathing out 8, right? And just kind of trying to keep that nice, deep breathing going while we train. I like it. I think it's a good
me too.
addition. Okay, I'm about to blow your brain now. Here's your brain explosion.
All right.
Right?
Ready.
Remember, SifuZ.com, Kung Fu Power stickers. Rubber bands not included. I'm gonna blow your brain right here. There is a study done in Canadian researchers. So, you know this is legit. It's Canada.
No, Canada.
They found that, well, here, I'll test you. They measured the average attention span of the modern human. Guess what it was?
7. 8 freaking seconds, huh?
How'd you guess?
Wow.
8 seconds. It used to be 12, but it's now down to 8.
Wow.
Think about that.
Well, it makes sense that it's now shorter. If it used to be a little
Yeah,
longer.
yeah.
No.
8 seconds. Now, if you want to know why we're having problems communicating, I'll give you 8 seconds to figure it out.
Right.
Or if you know why, I'll give you 8 seconds to explain it. I mean, think of the implication.
Yeah.
8 seconds
You
of
get done in
focus.
8 seconds. One breath.
It's wild. Yeah. Now, I'd like to know some more information on that. So if you have any information on that, you can put it down in the comments right there. But 8 seconds. So, and also connected to that, this is a mind blow. This blows the brain all over the place. 8 seconds in, 8 seconds out. They have figured out that conscious behavior happens when we're inhaling or exhaling. I think it's exhaling. I forget which one it is. I'm sorry, guys, but you can look it up. You would never want to listen to me or anyone say something like this and not look it up. Right. Because this is so profound, right? Conscious behavior happens on, I believe it's the inhale. Or I don't know. When I'm inhaling, I don't think I'm being very conscious. So maybe it's the exhale. Yeah. But it's one or the other. Either way, it's bizarre. That is freakish. And so our unconscious behavior happens on probably the in. I'm pretty sure it's the in. Yeah. Inhaling is unconscious. Exhaling is conscious. Now, that's not exclusive. They just found that in general, and as a norm.
Hold on,
people.
Like so you get really scared. You freeze.
Yeah.
And you hold your breath. Then you probably make unconscious behavior, right?
Yeah. Well, I just heard
I
just heard this information. I'm passing it on.
I like the attention.
I'm passing it on.
Canadian study there
for the
8 seconds.
For the sake of being vetted and checked, because there is the internet out there. There is Google. You can check this stuff out. Make sure that verify that this stuff is real science. So that's what we're looking for, right? Is Wing Chun is very science. It's the science martial art.
Yeah.
It's the emotional control martial art. And now it's the infinite martial art, where that 8 is just coming in and keeps showing itself, Bonsal Tonsal. If you just do Bonsal Tonsal, and if you had a pen or a light stick, right, and you're just looking at you turn the lights off and you're looking at the light stick, what do you think you'd be drawing?
That's infinity.
Affinity, yeah. Right?
Yeah.
So 8 is it's pretty significant.
Yeah.
Again, I'm not a mathematician and I'm definitely not a numerologist. But I can't help but to see the profound, to just sort of get a glimpse of a certain amount of profoundness in the number 8 and the concept of infinity, which I have a hard time with, by the way. This concept of infinity. I mean, come on, we do not exist infinitely. And we do not exist infinitely. In other words, you didn't exist infinitely up until you did. And then you interrupted, you not existing infinitely. See, I have problems with infinity. But that doesn't mean I can't appreciate the sentiment. Right? Yeah. I can appreciate the sentiment. I just can't agree with, the math. Because I'm not a mathematician. I don't understand that. I'm not going to pretend to. I've tried to. I don't. So I'm not going to try to pretend that I understand. Right? I can probably parrot some definitions and terms of what infinity is and whatnot, but still, I don't really. It doesn't flow with me.
Right.
As a real concept. Again, it's okay. I can get the gist of it. Just like if Wing Chun invented by a woman, even if it wasn't, I still get the gist. And it's a very important concept to get, right? So this is where myth, it's very interesting, where myth comes in, and how valuable myth can be. Right? If things are preserved, they're finding certain scientists or certain intellectuals, shall I say, are finding that certain ancient mythologies parallel certain scientific findings, or even cosmological findings. Stonehenge, Mayans, stuff like that.
A lot of mysteries.
Again, and we're talking about various increments of measure too, right? So anyway, guys, I tell you, we get so deep. I went deep early on in this episode, and then we went even deeper.
Yeah.
I mean, we could just go on another half hour to an hour now on this, but we can't. We got to go train.
Yeah.
So, hey, you're listening to Wing Chun Talk. This is episode 12, season 1. You can check out the introduction to Wing Chun. That's a free Wing Chun class, essentially, that I offer to anyone that's interested. And those links are down in the description below. If you would like more information, you can go to civility.com, and everything is there.
Yeah.
Everything. You can buy merch there. You can, if you buy Wing Chun gear, buy AV gear to start your training.
Different memberships.
Yes, different memberships. If you want to join us in training, you can train with us for as little as $1 a month. And we'll even invite you to a live class, which is usually reserved for the $20 a month and above,
right.
Those guys. But we'll even invite you to a live class, and there's tons of material and content that's available for just $1 a month.
Yeah.
Huge. And you know what? And if you want to train, and you're more than broke, and we certainly understand that.
Tough times.
Yeah. You could just come on over to civility.com and just start training. The content's there. You don't have to sign up. You don't have to do anything. Just start training. Figure this stuff out. It's very powerful stuff. You can do that over at patreon.com/Sifu Z. If you'd like to contribute, that's what I want to say. If you want to contribute, I want to start. I want to make that popular, to contribute. If you want to make a one-time contribution for any amount, you can do that over at paypal.me/Sifu Z. All of that is in the links in the description below. And that's it for this episode. We gotta,
Episode 12.
we gotta get ready for class here.
Yeah.
Thanks for watching, guys, and we'll see you next episode.